Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something clicked. I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it. And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist.
This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening.
It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session. I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
Wow, it is pretty amazing. So, since the last time we met, I'm telling you, that was the third time, and every time I have a similar experience the following day that I just feel off. I feel, I don't feel great. I feel good after the session.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I just feel, oh, wow, something's not right. Something's amiss. Something is missing. It's it's not like a typical anxiety either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I shared this with, he's a former MD and he does somatic work and he knows a bit about IFS. And I was sharing that with him and he said, oh yeah, he said, that's really typical. He said, that is actually a good thing because that's something is, let's see, how did he put it? Something is shifting, something's either opening up, your guard, or my guard is sort of down, that those parts are now kind of, whatever part I was working with is now, has diminished, isn't as strong, isn't as extreme. And so that's kind of what it feels like. I kind of feel a little bit lost. It goes away. Yeah, right? It's not like I stay in that state. But have you heard this before?
I mean, I've heard so many different types of reports. I think I would say short answer, yes.
Yeah.
And I think that from what I've read, that's there is some risk involved in any type of therapy or anything, where you're opening the lid to things that are scary, things that are vulnerable. Mm-hmm. So, I can see
it's definitely, it's not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't see it as a negative thing. I see it as something is, working actually, and something. So,
that's great. I mean, I would, you have your MD telling you that and you're feeling that. That's great. I also just want to leave the door open for, and maybe it's a bad thing. Like, I don't know. I just feel like, I don't have that depth of experience or understanding to have that confidence. But
yeah, it's just
I don't know that I haven't met anyone who's left worse by it.
No, it's just the next day. Just, I feel it just kind of, I can't, out of sorts. And like not kind of knowing what to do with myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I have, so you talk a lot about having kind of a part that's very driven, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I don't have it to that much of a degree, but I definitely have a part that's busy and wants me to stay busy. And when that part relaxes, I definitely, which I've only really achieved through IFS or previously alcoholism, but when that part relaxes, there is that kind of, oh, what am I supposed to do then? If I'm not busy on this task, for example, the idea of, well, just go outside and watch the leaves fall, it can be a little intimidating if that's not your habit.
Yeah. Right. And there is a sense, like the last time there was a sense of, and then, but there's also a sense of kind of well-being. And, and then and with this last time with the exiled part, I know the next day I wake up. Okay. So I wake up in the morning, not in a great state of mind. I'm got some anxiety going on, and I just was out in DC this week to see my Lyme doctor, and he said my brain is rewiring. It's like these organisms that like the brain, and it takes the brain some time to heal. And there's an activation that's going on that is happening in a way, like I already probably have anxiety, underlying anxiety. And then the Lyme stuff has just made it worse. And so now that because I asked my doctor, I'm like, why is this? Have you seen this before, that when people are toward the end of their treatment and recovery, that they get sudden surges of anxiety? And he said, yes. He said the brain is sort of like kind of recalibrating, resetting, healing, however you want to say it. And so I wake up in the mornings feeling it takes me a little time to get settled. And so at when we met last time, and I woke up the next morning, and I felt like this desperation, like, oh my God, I have to heal more exiles now.
Yeah.
It was so weird. I felt like, oh my God, I have to start, I have to look into this. I have to see, I better watch some YouTube videos and figure out what these exiles. It was just so weird. And it calmed down, as the day went on, and it went away. Thank God, because it was so weird. It was this feeling of desperation, like, oh my God, I got to do more of this or I'm going to lose it or something.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, and maybe if I can just address that a little bit. So, I mean, I think that there's some truth to that if that it's not a silver bullet or whatever, we do have to, there is maintenance, and not only is there maintenance with one exile or one part that we've just come to know, through checking in and staying with them. They're going to be there forever. These aren't parts. We're not making parts go away. We're actually bringing them up and bringing them in. So there is that maintenance, but yes, there are, I believe, almost always multiple exiles. And it seems reasonable that, it's possible that there are exiles that you're unaware of, or that, to have that feeling of, I need to look into this, I need to do more of this. I mean, I don't want to dismiss, like, it felt like desperation and it felt bad. I hear that, and we can address that. But I also think that just the idea of this being an ongoing project sounds right to me.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. It was just that the way that it hit me when I woke up.
Yeah.
It was like almost like a fear response of like, oh my God, I better figure this out. And then and like I said that, and I thought, well, and what if I can't? And then I was thinking things like, well, how am I supposed to be checking in with this part? And how is that, what does that look like? And how does it work?
Yeah.
And now it's not that hard. I can see that I've been doing that, and it's,
I'm so glad.
Yeah, it's not, it's easier than I thought. It's more natural than I thought.
Yeah.
Because once I had the experience with you, then I have that. Yeah, I have that memory. I can go back to it. I can talk to that younger self, that 7-year-old, and be. When I think about doing, fun activities, well, sometimes I'll think about that and then include her in like things to feel like connected, and things that we like to do.
That sounds so wonderful.
Yeah.
And just another kind of hypothesis, there could also be parts that are really not happy about that. There could still be protector parts, or parts that have a similar burden, or parts that, it just could be anything that could also be pushing back on that and saying, no, this is a problem. Here's some anxiety, here's some fear to temper that, or to push back on that.
Yeah, I haven't noticed that, but I see what I see, can see where that could happen. But I didn't notice it. What I did notice was right away the next day, the part that I thought like, wow, there is another protector part. I don't know if it had anything to do with that particular session. It's probably just because I hadn't really addressed it, and it's really another really strong part is that part, this critical part, that it's critical of things, of people, of me, of all kinds of things. And I try, then there's another part of me that tries to temper it and control it to not be that way. And then it especially gets when I'm feeling frustrated or annoyed, it shows up in my life lately. I'm doing some things on Zoom with people in some programs, some groups of people, and I just get irritated with somebody on the Zoom call. And I'm just like, why, for no particular reason. That's just like annoying to me that I'm annoyed with them. Like, it's just like lack of patience, lack of tolerance. It's just not very right. Yeah. That's what I noticed. And I don't think that I've really gotten to know that part with you.
Okay. But would you like to?
And I think that part, I started noticing it more because the high achieving one calmed down a little bit. And the angry one calmed down a little bit. Right? And
this is still up. This one is still up.
right. And that might be, I think that it's like a version of it. There's like, it's a version of that, maybe the angry part that gets annoyed and impatient and critical of situations and people and myself.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can.
What do you do when
work
these
with that.
parts are? Yeah, like what do you do when? Is this a separate part? Would you consider it a separate part, or is it just part of the angry part?
I don't know. We can find out. I mean, if you tune into it and start getting to know it, you can ask that question directly and learn about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sound good? You want to go there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the angry part, or the critic and the frustration comes up. You're on the Zoom call. Where do you notice it?
And it also came up around before this doctor's appointment with dealing with some issues at the clinic. I was getting very irritated and it gets okay. So yes, it's very, I can see that even I just saw how it really doesn't like to be criticized or told what to do, or tried to be manipulated.
Mm-hmm. And how do you notice it when it comes up in or around your body?
Okay. It's agitation. It gets a feeling of agitation, restlessness, guarded.
Do you feel like it has a location?
Could put it's my chest, upper body, sort of like it could get to like want to pounce on somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be in my arms and shoulders.
And how are you feeling towards it as you notice it right now?
Yeah, it's vibrating, tingling, slightly twitchiness in my face.
Mm-hmm. I know you mentioned having a part that wants to push back on it. But right now, is that part feel like it's strong, or
No?
How are you feeling towards this part in your chest and your whole upper body?
It's pretty overwhelming.
Okay, so you're feeling overwhelmed by it?
Yeah, like I can't really. I can only focus on that.
On the sense of overwhelm?
Yeah, it's just in a sense of wanting to defend itself and prove that these people don't know what they're talking about. Really, it's just like people are trying to, people lately, they're trying to tell it to be a certain way, to consider certain things. Like I'm Like, what are you talking about? I've had Lyme disease for 10 years and you're going to like try to like analyze something about me you don't even know anything about. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and we don't want you being overwhelmed. So you might ask this part to not overwhelm you. Just let it know that you do want to get to know it.
Okay.
And yeah, just ask it if it will share with you in a way that's not overwhelming.
Okay. I'll ask it. Okay. I'm trying to let it know that I get that it wants to not allow people to get on its nerves.
Mm-hmm.
It gets, impatient, intolerant.
Yeah.
Of particular people and situations.
Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah.
Great. Let it know it makes sense to you. And do you feel like...
Yeah, there's another part that sort of...
There's
another part that sort of like wants to say, hey, you know that like these people have their own issues. It's not about you. That they're
right.
just
So this part's kind of pushing back and saying, well, it's giving other reasons, or it's trying to...
Yeah, it's trying to calm
this in.
down.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, ask that part to step back.
Okay.
Just see how it responds.
Yeah, it's going to step back.
Great. And as far as the feeling or the concern of being overwhelmed, do you feel like you have a good negotiation, or is that reduced?
Yeah, it is reduced. And
Great.
There's flashes of all kinds of incidents that have happened in the last couple of weeks that are related to this part.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's showing you those instances?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Many.
Mm-hmm.
It's sort of like I get on these different calls with groups and people, and like it's the targets these certain people. Like, here we go, we got to deal with this person. Oh my God, it's funny.
Yeah. So just let it know that you see all that.
Okay.
And you see how hard that is for it.
Yeah. And it's very tired. Mm-hmm. It's very tired. It kind of wishes that it could calm down and have patience.
Yeah.
But it's so, like really strong and really standing there. Like, this is just, all the time.
Mm-hmm. What's it afraid would happen if it did calm down, if it didn't stand there and do that?
Oh, these people would just go on and on, as they do, go on, and then diminish this part, make this part feel really diminished, like it doesn't know what the hell it's doing.
Right. So there's some pain in there, and that feeling of being diminished.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's trying to protect you from that.
Or someone trying to manipulate or try to get me to get it to see something a certain way that isn't necessary.
Mm-hmm. And how long has this part been serving as in this role, doing this?
Since around 6th grade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a long time.
Yeah.
And you don't have to disclose anything with me, but you could ask, if there was there something going on in 6th grade, something specific that this part is showing you that made it become so active?
Well,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. My parents were trying to, the whole thing with the religious conversion,
Mm-hmm.
and they were starting to get really into that and trying to get it to see a way of thinking and acting and behaving that was not really, it's confusing. It was confusing.
Yeah, sounds like it.
And not, constricting.
And some of those other things it was describing about feeling diminished or about being manipulated or seeing, people trying to tell you a story that, you don't feel like it's true. There's a lot of that coming up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And really, really, irrational kinds of rules, like about
mm-hmm.
how to dress, how to behave, who to be friends with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How to act, things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going with like procedures that were like dumb.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah. So it started protecting you at that time, or had to get into high gear, and has continued.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Are you getting the same sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, see if you can just show it that you get that, and maybe show it some appreciation for its intention.
Because the thing is that it pushed back and didn't agree with these things. And so, in what, however that looks as a rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah.
almost like you're being told that when you're that age, but you're not really buying it.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to go along with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it has that kind of insult to the intellect, but it also has that kind of emotional pain of feeling diminished, of being confused.
Like it doesn't really make sense. Kids know when something makes sense or not.
Sure. So see if you can just show it that you see that, and again, see if you can extend some appreciation to it.
And I did do that. And I also can see that it's fighting and fighting back and not, I mean, on one hand, it did buy into it, but on the other hand, it was rebelled and fought back and hated it. And that is what kept it in the discovery of other things later in life. Like, there's got to be a way out of this.
Right. Yeah.
Because that's how the angry part, when I get anxious, when my anxious parts get anxious, and my angry part gets angry. Sorry, the anxious part and the scared part, when they get that way, many times my angry part takes over. You know how some people shut down, and I do shut down and just go into shutdown mode too sometimes when I'm tired, but also my angry part will go into fight mode.
Yeah.
To cope, to get through.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you showed it some appreciation, did it receive that?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. And how are you being with it now?
I'm trying now. They've gotten some, like, I'm trying to like distinguish this part more. Like, what did, like, sort of name it. Like, is it a frustrated?
Yeah, you can ask it to kind of reveal itself.
Okay.
And I would just check in, you know, are you curious kind of from your head or from your heart? If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do hear a lot of connecting the dots, and that's valuable, but also, you know, just being with and listening to this part.
Okay.
Without all the meaning making.
Okay.
You know.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, this showing me that it doesn't like to be around certain kinds of people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going back to lately, these kinds of people that I'm referring to that I don't want to deal with.
Yeah. So you can keep asking this part questions that you have about it. You know, if you want to continue trying to distinguish between, you know, if the critic and the anger are kind of two different parts, or if there's more you want to learn about it. We can also.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that's the critical part. Let me ask it. Yeah, it's showing me that it's saying that these kinds of individuals, that they just it just avoids them because they're gonna I don't really want to even, it doesn't want to go there, like with that kind of thing, like being closed-minded or trying to, again, it's just all these different flashbacks in the last, of lately, of when it's over and over getting triggered by certain people and situations.
And what would it rather be doing with its energy if it felt like it could just trust you to to handle that, if it didn't have to work so hard.
Would like to be just being with fun people and just hanging out and enjoying people.
Okay. Is there more?
Yeah, it's sort of like showing me that headachy feeling that I get, and that in my shoulders, my head, neck, and shoulders, when I am around people that drain me or that are irritating to me. And then I'm just it's just like it's showing me that like just tolerating these conversations and interactions, just tolerating, criticizing, not necessarily saying it, but and then now it's showing me that like then it doesn't hold, then it just like gets impatient and doesn't hold back, and then sometimes says things in defense.
Yeah. You could try asking what it needs from you in those situations, or now, or anytime, to help it feel like it doesn't need to work so hard.
Okay. Something about speaking up and just saying what's so.
Okay.
Like being just honest about my I can't really, I'm not really sure.
Okay.
It's just something around like having the conversation and being like really straight about things, like, hey, this isn't cool. I'm not going to have this conversation, or instead of it's like something around, rather than getting irritated and
to just have those boundaries.
Something like that. It's something like that, to just be like, nope, you know what? Not going to go there, or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, because it's showing like, oh yeah, it's like showing it's tired, that it's really tired, that it has to feel like it has to explain and defend itself and give some kind of explanation. And it's like, no, we don't need to do that.
Yeah. So I'm curious, and we don't have to go there, so it's your call, but I'm curious again, kind of what it's concerned would happen, what it's concerned with happening if it didn't do the explaining and the defending.
Okay, what would happen if it wasn't doing that?
Yeah.
What it thinks what would happen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, it's like these people might attack me and try to pull one over on me.
Yeah. And are you okay just kind of learning more about that?
Yeah.
And just kind of just try to see, you know, what would that look like? What does that mean?
Now there's blankness.
Okay. I'll just let you know that the reason I'm asking that question is, and normally when I'm asking kind of what are the fears behind it, that's usually kind of looking for exiles that it's protecting. So before you had said, you know, this part had mentioned this feeling diminished, feeling confused as a child. It already kind of pointed to this 6th grader part. And so we may have already kind of learned about the exile behind that.
It goes on into high school and it's not really showing me any specific event or even, it's just this general sense, ongoing history of that experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's, you know, that's, I think if you were to continue, like there is the relationship building with this part, which it sounds like you're doing. And then there's also that going to that exile, going to that child that was experiencing that and working with her, working with it. I could be wrong about any of that, but that's kind of what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I mean, this was, you know, feeling of having all through adolescence, high school, you know, into college, you know, into my 20s, you know, dealing with my parents and their, you know, their ideas of how things should be. And these parts trying to fight against them, and then some of them trying to appease them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Up until even to the point where, you know, I got married when I was 27. Really kind of always knowing like, oh, this probably isn't going to work, but it's the right thing to do. Kind of like.
Right.
And, you know, it only lasted a few years. You know, it's just like this. It seems slightly subtle and then really obvious in some ways.
Yeah. Sounds exile-y to me.
Does it?
Yeah. Again, kind of the part behind that part, the part that it feels that tension and really that pain and that burden of of pushing back and having to appease, and whatever the deeper emotions are that go along with that. What does it feel like for a sixth grader to be in that position? What does it feel like for a sixth grader to, I don't know, maybe be losing trust in her parents or in her institutions around her? Yeah, I imagine that's all deeper, more vulnerable, and that's what I'm calling exile kind of energy that we could go to.
Yeah.
I don't know in this conversation, because that usually is more of a process. So just in the sake of time, I would probably suggest just bookmarking that and checking it out with this part. Does that resonate? Are we talking about the right thing that this part is protecting?
Yeah, I mean, is it helpful to consider like different ages when because I feel like it's just the same issues all the way through childhood, adolescence. So it's sort of hard to like, where do you go? I mean, it's just like one long chain of events.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm not sure I have a real solid answer. I think that usually there is kind of a youngest exile, or when that experience first came up, and you might not have the exact month and day of when that was, but normally, at least in my experience, you can kind of trace it back, and you find kind of the youngest, and then you can, by working with that part, there's usually kind of a shift or a movement that ripples through kind of future parts, and they might all need your attention. I'm sure that they do, and they deserve it. But as far as how the process goes, that's usually what I find is kind of leaning into that feeling, leaning into that discomfort that this part's pointing to, and kind of finding the earliest experiences of it.
Maybe since this has been coming up on all these calls that I'm doing, I'm in a couple different programs and groups, and I'll be more aware of when these feelings come up, because they come up really often. Sort of like when I look at it, I don't know what maybe I can really feel that in my body, and kind of like take it back to like, oh yeah, these are really old feelings.
Yeah, and you might have already gotten your answer. It might be that sixth grader.
Yeah, I mean it's for sure started around fifth, fourth through sixth, seventh grade, and then continued on.
Yeah. You could try asking this part how old it thinks you are.
Okay. It's like 14.
Yeah. So let it know your real age. Let it know that you may be able to handle those tough situations with people now in a way that you could better than 14, if it thinks that, if that's how it sees you. And also, if you can commit to it, let it know that you intend to go to those younger parts and help them out.
Okay. It just showed me a time when in high school when my parents sent me to live with my aunt and uncle for like, I don't even know why. It was my junior year because I don't know, they didn't like my attitude or something. I even asked them this as an adult and they couldn't remember it because I don't remember what I did, but I remember it was just really disturbing. Like I really didn't do anything. And it was here in my city, but, and I had a use of the family car. So I would just drive to high school, but, like, it was just weird, like that was their way of dealing with, like, they thought I had a bad attitude and was being aloof. So like, okay, let's just go send her to her aunt and uncle's house for a month. Like that's going to do anything. And it just like really disconcerting.
Yeah.
Instead of handling like what was going on with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's that sense of just being criticized and made wrong and not ever really sure why.
Yeah. Yep. Those are the parts that need you. I mean, they all need you, but those exiles. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I will keep visiting and checking in.
Great. Yeah, just ask this part again, kind of what it needs from you going forward. And you might keep asking it that, can you keep checking in with this part and it'll probably come up with more and more ideas.
Okay.
And then if you want to go to those exiles, if you want my help with that, or we can arrange that. My calendar's kind of booked up, but I can find a spot for you if you like. Okay. So
yeah, should I just go to your link?
Yeah, you can. I just looked at it earlier and there's a single day available. So
Jesus. Wow.
It's okay. I'm happy to find another one for you. So we can talk about it.
Okay.
How does it feel? Do you feel like you got to know this part, and do you feel like you have a?
Yeah. It's like it's becoming clearer, and it's like I just saw so many places that it's showing up lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Great. Well, thank that part, and thank any of those other parts that stepped back and gave you permission to do all this. That's a really good sign that they're all trusting you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, James.
Thank you. Hope to hear from you soon.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and You're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.